Hello, Year 7. Today we're going to look at the first lesson of our computer systems unit of work, which covers hardware, software, input and output. The first three questions that we're going to look at in this lesson are: why does a computer need hardware devices? What is the purpose of software? And how do peripherals work? So the first task that I want you to do is open up your workbooks, and you need to name each device that you see by what you think it is. So it should be on slide 7 for you. You click on the box, you delete the answer, and then type in what you think is correct. If you pause the video now and then check back in a second. Welcome back. Thank you very much for coming back. So hopefully you got all the answers right. So the first one, we've got headphones, then we've got hard drive, we've got word processor. If you put Word, I'll accept that because obviously that's what you're probably more familiar with. We've got mouse, USB, operating system, and again, if you put Windows, that's okay because that's the example of an operating system. We've got printer and browser, or if you put Internet Explorer, that's okay as well. From there, you need to come to this slide, and on your workbook, it should be on the following slide of slide 8. And what you need to do here is go through, read the definition, reduce the amount of text that are on here so you can literally go through and just delete parts. It might be too long. Try and reduce it down to keep it as short as possible, but still have a good definition of what hardware is. And do the same for software. So whilst you're reading through that and doing that task, if you pause the video and then come back. Thank you very much. Now, hopefully you've done that, and I will check the answers at some point to make sure they are good definitions. Next, we're going to have a look at more of the categories of software and hardware. So on this slide, you go to slide 9, and then I need you to drag these images. As you can see, there's different ones. It's the same ones as we did on slide 7. And you need to drag them to which you think they are. Is it software or is it hardware? And again, if you do that for me now, if you pause the video, and after this one, I'll show you the answers. Thank you very much for doing that task for me so quickly. So now I'm going to show the answers to that task. So the first one we've got is, if we remember, it's called operating system here. So we can use that as software because that is the software of the computing system. Examples of software operating systems are like Android, Apple, macOS, Windows, and there's even ones called Linux, which some of you might have heard of and might not have. But it's what runs the computer. It's the kind of the thinking of the computer. Then we've got word processor, or Word, which is again a piece of software because it is on the computer. It's inside the computer's components, if you think about it that way. The computer's hardware runs it. And then we've got a hard drive. Now might be a bit obvious, but it is a hardware because it's physical. We can touch it, and that's the difference we're going to look at mainly. Is software is kind of inside the computer. It's the programs, the games, the apps, that sort of thing. Whereas hardware is very much a physical thing that you can touch, that you can the components of a computer. USB. Now, USB is a part of hardware because it is a piece of physical material that you can plug into your computer. And then you've got Internet Explorer, or internet browsers, which is a software because, again, you can't physically touch the internet, but you can use the software to browse the internet. Now, we've all got a pair of headphones and they sit on our head. It'd be kind of weird if we couldn't touch them. It would be very bad because we couldn't be able to use them properly. So these are hardware. And then we've got printer. Now, a printer lets us obviously take information from the computer and print it out into the real world, so pictures, messages, letters, that sort of thing. And that is a form of hardware. And then finally, the mouse. The mouse is a simple piece of hardware that you can use daily if you use a computer regularly, and it just sits in the palm of your hand and it lets you operate the computer. So that is all of the correct answers. So if you've got any wrong, if you make the corrections now, if you just pause the video and I'll wait for you. Now, we're moving on. We're going to have this slide, task 4 in your workbook, which will be on slide 10. And you've got the 3 definitions: input devices, output devices, and storage devices. So what you need to do for these is follow the link at the top and it will give you a quick video. Use that video, and as you're watching it, make notes and put the definitions in these boxes on your workbook. And then the final one for storage devices, you're going to have to do a bit of your own research, and it's called research and checking link at the bottom, and that will help you double down and like make sure your definitions of each one and your definition for storage devices is on point. So if you do that for me now. Welcome back. Now, one of the final tasks we're going to do today is looking at different examples of input, output, storage devices. Now, if you were doing this in class, we would have this timer, but obviously if you're working from home, you can use all the time you need. But I do want to try and you guys to try and use the 9-minute timer. Try and challenge yourself. So use 3 minutes for each collage. Because what you're going to do is you're going to go into your workbooks and you're going to have a look at, from slide 11, input devices collage. We've already given you an example here. Output devices collage and storage devices. On each one of them, there is a link to a website at the bottom right corner that can help you. If you pause the video and have a crack at doing that collage now, I will then show you some examples of a collage that I've created. Welcome back. Now, if you were struggling at all with that task, there is a help slide here. You can pause this video and copy that, like, and just type that link down, but obviously it's also in your workbook as well. Now, input devices. This is the examples that I've come up with for my collage. So we've got a game controller, a keyboard and mouse. They're both examples of how we as a user can input actions and information into a game computer system. So with a keyboard and mouse, we can type, we can write a letter. With a game controller, we can play a game on a console or a computer, and it lets us control the game without having to do anything too complex. Then we've got a scanner. This lets us put pieces of paper in what we call digitize them. So it takes the physical copy and makes like a digital copy so it can be used on the computer. It can be edited, changed, sent across the world, whatever you wish to do with it. And then you've got a microphone in the bottom left hand corner here. This lets us put our voice into a computer or recording or video. A lot of you, just like I'm doing right now, I'm using a microphone. But also you guys have seen YouTubers, streamers, all these sort of people using professional microphones, headsets, that sort of thing, so they can transmit their voice through a computer or onto a recording. And then here we've got an input device. Now, not many of you might have seen these, but there are quite a lot of them in school, and they'll be in the corner of a room, and they'll pick up on if there's any motion in the room to turn the lights on, and if there's a no motion, it turn the lights off. And then we've got a number pad. This can be used for clocks, heaters, security combo like locks, boilers, anything like that. It's a simple input device that lets us control the system. And then we've got finally a scanner or a barcode reader that you'll have seen in Asda and Morrison's and the different shops, and that lets us quickly take a piece of information from like a price tag and brings it up on the computer system so we know what to do with it. Moving on to output devices, we've got a printer. So just like the scanner beforehand, where the scanner takes the real physical and puts it into digital, the printer takes the digital and puts it onto a physical. So you could have a picture again, a letter, an email, a drawing or a poster that you've made, and you can print it out into the real world. And then you've got a screen. So a screen is seen as an output device because it takes information from the computer, puts it on the screen so we can use it and we can view it in the real world. And then we've got headphones and speakers. These fall into the same category because they take digital information of music and plays it into the real world. So it just takes the ones and zeros of the information for the song and plays it into the real world. And then finally, we've got storage devices. Storage devices, one example we've got is hard drives. These are in quite a lot of computers nowadays, and as these disks that spin around really fast that lets us store information on them, and they are a crucial part of our PC computers and our computing systems because without them we wouldn't be able to store any information. And then we've got a USB sticks, we've got an SD card, we've got a USB SD card reader, and then finally at the back we've got a DVD or a CD or anything like that, but they work very similar to a hard drive where it stores information on a disk. So that's pretty much it for today's lesson. So what I want you to do is if you've skipped through or anything, I want you to go back and complete all the tasks and hope that you've managed to do everything properly. And obviously, if you need any more help, just please message us on Google Classroom or send us an email and we'll be happy to help. Thank you very much, Year 7. Bye.